Hello, and welcome to today's live stream. Sorry, me being a slow poke in starting our today's live stream. So let me know, please, in the chat while you're joining, if you can hear me well, and if you will be watching this live stream in replay, please also let me know that in the chat. I'd love to see how many people are joining live and how many people are watching this later on. So today's topic is sales email writing mistakes you should stop doing. Actually, this might not be a revelation to some. This might sound like yesterday's day for some, but for some it is a revelation, and I just want to address those mistakes and make sure that you're not committing any of those anymore, never. And what you can do instead, what you can write instead to sound better and to make your potential buyers, potential clients to actually open your emails and respond in the way you'd like them to. Okay? So hello, Christopher. I hope that you've made it in 23 minutes, just like you wrote here in the chat. So great to see you. Alexander, as always, you're one of the first to join in. Hi. And so I presume that you can hear me well. So let me share the slides and we'll jump straight into the topic. Yeah, where it is. Okay. Where are my slides? Okay, so I hope you can see them now. So today we're talking about horrid sales emails mistake you need to drop now. And let's dive straight into the first mistake that I want to address today. And sorry, before we start, hi, Leonid. Hi, Christopher. So you joined Leave, that's great to know. And yes, it's great to know that people are joining from all over the world, United States, Europe. I know there are people from Asia. So that's great to know that we have such an international community here, because I do believe in international teams, international communities. And yeah, it's great for me to know that we have all nationalities and all countries joining in. So today we'll talk about 10 sales emails writing mistakes. And we will also cover a few perfect call to action ideas that you can use instead of some of the mistakes that you might be committing. And if you make it to the end, I'll share one extra sales email writing mistake for you specifically to make it worthwhile for you to watch this live stream. Okay, so let's dive straight into the first sales email mistake, and that is obvious that the first mistake you might be committing is actually having a weak subject line. And a subject line is actually something that it's your client's first look at your sales email. And this actually means that whatever you place in your subject line is what you should persuade them, is what should persuade them to open your email at all. If it's weak, generic, boring, they won't open your email, right? And if it's relevant, engaging, sparkling, curiosity, and it should work like a charm for your email open rates, right? And I guess all of us had examples when you see something in your inbox and you just don't even want to open it. You just delete. And you don't want to fall under this category, right? You want your potential client to actually open your email, right? And however, this is quite a tricky situation. You don't want to be a trickster either. So don't use methods like creating a subject line that mimics something a friend would say. For example, I'm always telling my client to be extremely cautious with, for example, these return from someone or forwarded trick. If you don't know it, it's something you put in the beginning of your email to make it sound like this person has already spoke to you. And this is not good. Some might not take it well, so you need to be cautious here. And you also don't want to sound like a clickbait or whatever. And this leads us to the sales mistake number 2, and that is using salesy headlines. And I guess you understand what I mean here, because we all got these emails like, don't miss this opportunity, best value on the market, whatever. So superlatives, buzzwords, and exclamation marks, they want to convince a potential buyer. And if you bombard readers with statements such as, like, I have best developers in the market, or best team on the market, or best service offering ever, or best prices, or try to catch the deal, I don't know, whatever. These emails probably will end up being ignored or in spam folders, and this is even worse than being ignored, because if too many people will mark your sales email as spam, you might be blocked by Google. Your account might be blocked by Google, and all of the rest of your emails to whoever you've sent them, even to your spouse or friend, they will end up in spam folders. So you don't want that to happen. Okay. Hi, Jack Daniel says, I'm late to the party, just a little bit. I was late to the party myself for 2 minutes, so it's okay. So, and we are moving to the sales email mistake number 3, and that is not having a clear call to action, CTA. And this is extremely important, and we will stop on this mistake for a little bit, because there are some typical mistakes you might be committing, and I want to share just a few examples what exact mistakes you might be doing and what you can do instead, right? If that is okay. Just to stop a little bit here. Because why I want to dwell so much upon this one, because this is the most important thing. It's the most important aspect of your email, because what you want your potential client to do is to take some sort of an action, right? It's extremely important, and this is what your email is leading up to. That one link or that one question that will lead your clients straight to the service or the product that you're trying to sell, right? And if you don't have it at all, if you don't have a clear call to action or no call to action at all, don't flatter yourself that your clients will search a way to purchase the services or the products that you're selling, because they most likely won't, even if they like your product very much. For example, let's assume that you have a perfect headline, perfect title, whatever, your email is perfectly drafted, but if there is no call to action, like they're reading the email and you're, say, providing data engineers, and they're like, yeah, they worked with this technology and with this, yeah, it would make sense for us maybe to work to, I'd like to talk to them. But in the end, you just say, thanks for your attention, bye. And they're like, I just want to work with, okay, bye. So you understand why it is so important. And yes, some weird clients might think about trying to find you on the web later on, but then your product or service will probably get lost somewhere in the trash bin, just like your email. And so include a call to action that your customers can get, to your service or to the call to the product quickly. And let me address just a few most common variations of what you might be committing in terms of not having a clear CTA. And the variations that might happen, right, that you might be committing is, let's address the first one, and that is you have too many different call to actions. And like, no shame in this, I'm committing this mistake time and over again, not in my emails, but when I'm sharing the content. And let's take this live stream for a change. Actually, I could just stick to sales emails, and that would probably be the best thing for me. But I just wanted to share some extra knowledge I get to share some extra examples that you might be taking and using in your sales emails sequences, and just I've got so much to share. I just want to share it all, and I'm not sticking to one goal. So I do commit the same mistake. Or if you've seen some YouTubers, for example, I like to watch YouTube, guilty, and sometimes they give so much different call to actions in the end of their videos, like subscribe, like, grab the freebie below, join my Patreon, I don't know, go and watch this video next. So many call to actions, and I'm like, yes, I'd like to, but what should I do first? And out of frustration, I just close the window. So you don't want to commit this mistake for sure, because more CTAs won't increase your chances of getting a conversion. In fact, the more you ask of someone in a cold email, the less likely they'll do anything. Or not even in a cold email. Even if you ask your friend to do like a few things, probably they will do none or just one. So just stick to one goal and then move on to the next one if you have several. Okay, so the next variation of committing a mistake, with your call to action is that your CTA is confusing or unclear. And if your CTA isn't specific enough in what the person needs to do, they're going to leave. If you want someone to pick a time for a call, just give them dates and times. If you want them to click a link and take an action, say that. So be clear. It's not like, so you see how good our product is. For example, if you're providing a product, so you might want to check it out if you find the link somewhere. So it's really unclear. So it's like you have a call to action, but it's so confusing. So if you want them to check out, say, a demo, you say them, go and check out this demo to understand that I'm not lying and our product is the best, right? And this is what you do. If you want them to schedule a meeting, you tell them, so please go and arrange a meeting via my calendar link at XYZ time, right? So just say it aloud. The next variation is your CTA is too hard of a decision. And difficult decisions, as you might probably know, create friction. And that's the last thing you want in a cold email. Even if someone is interested in what you're saying, if the call to action puts pressure on them, they are going to pass, probably. That's what we all lazy people are wired to do. If the problem is too complicated, our brain just tends to ignore it. So if your like call to action includes something like, so whether what would you like me to do next? Whether you want to schedule a meeting and tell you more about our product or service, or would you like to check out our new case study or whatever? And the client is like, I don't know, whatever. So if that makes sense. And the last variation, it's not the last, but the last on my slide, because I didn't want this live stream to be too long, is when your call to action is asking for too much. Because when you're reaching out in a cold email to a person, a potential buyer, you haven't yet earned the right to ask too much of your prospect in a cold email, if that makes sense. So if your call to action is asking for sensitive material or for the prospect to invest some serious resources, their time, say, it's too much and they're not going to do it. For example, I've had a sales email. So when they've been asking me to register to get an access for a demo, and I liked actually the description of their product, and I did register, but the registration process turned out to take me like 25 minutes, something like that. And I was so tired and frustrated in the end, I just left it in another tab and went away for my own, to do my own thing, right? And then I just closed this tab. So if it's, and then again, do consider that I'm a very committed person. Not everybody would get to the very end of this registration process, right? So if your call to action is asking too much, if it's too much of an effort, your clients are not going to do that, right? So let me address something in the chat. I see there's something going on in the chat. Christopher says, Okay, that's okay. AdSense will make sure that it finds its way back to my regular inbox. Yes, true. So open one sales email and you will be bombarded them till the rest of your life. American citizens, listen up, because we are. I'm sorry. I mean, she called us lazy people and said, "No, okay, but that's the truth, the scientific fact that our brain tends to ignore something that is complicated. It kind of protects us from extra effort. The brain tends to save the energy, and when we're trying to push it, it tends to fight back. So we're not lazy, but that's how brain works, unfortunately." Jackie. Okay, so I guess there is conversation going on in the chat that I don't even have to take any part in. You guys are so hitting it off. Okay, so let's move on to sorry, we're not yet done with the call to action part, and I promised to tell you what you can actually do instead, right? Because we all want to craft the perfect call to actions for our sales emails, and that's what you can actually do instead. And probably at this stage, you might be familiar with this technique or tactics when you can use the 1, 2, 3 email hack if you haven't been getting a response. Or actually, you can actually use it from the cold email number 1 to make the decision-making process for your potential clients even easier. For example, let's say you've been following up with a prospect, or if you're just messaging them for the first time and you haven't gotten any response. And in this scenario, you want to make your call to action so simple, it would make for them more sense to respond to it. Like, it would take more effort not to answer it, right? And this technique works well. This 1, 2, 3 email hack, where you present the reader with 3 clear options. And let me turn on to the next slide, because that's where I stored the examples, and read the first example. Just hit reply and give me a number 1, 2, or 3. And you actually describe those variations, what they might do. For example, John, I've been noticing that I noticed that you haven't been responding to my email. So that might mean either of 3 things. First, you don't want to hear from me and you want me to go to hell. So just hit 1 and I won't be bothering you anymore. Second, you want to talk to me, but you just somehow, for some reason, haven't found the time to find the perfect time for us to arrange a call. So hit with 2 and I'll make it happen somehow. And 3, you think that we are a good fit, but not at this exact time. So just hit 3 and I'll reach out in a couple of months to see if there is a ground for discussion. So that's how this technique works. And if you've met with this technique previously, let me know that in the chat, because I certainly have multiple times. And truly, this makes the potential buyer to want to answer to you. And I've even fallen under this myself when this 1, 2, 3 technique first appeared on the market in the world. I hit reply and responded with a number. It was so easy. And so because as a reader, I only needed to hit one of those 3 keys to respond, right? Reply with 1, 2, or 3, and send. That's it. There isn't a simpler call to action in the world, right? Okay, and let me go back to the variation number 2. What you might do instead is give specific dates and times if you're asking for a call or a demo. Don't just simply tell them, John, let me know when it will be the best time to arrange a call. And by the way, I've been committing this mistake for far too long. And if you're guilty as well, let me know that in the chat so that I know that I'm not alone. Okay. And what I can do instead, so the very exact phrase that you might use, and as you can see this in this example, does next Tuesday at 11 a.m., whatever, or Thursday, work for a 15-minute call? And one one thing more. I would also include a time zone, right? When I'm messaging someone outside of my time zone, of course, I include, for example, does next Tuesday at 11 a.m. EST or Thursday at 3 p.m. EST work for a 15-minute call? If I'm messaging someone within my time zone, I don't do that. But if I do, better do include. And the next variation, what you might do is to make complex requests incredibly simple. So one of the technique we already mentioned, that is a 1, 2, 3 email hack. And for example, if you're asking someone to take an action that requires some effort, like signing up for a trial to use a product, so your CTA needs to be especially compelling. And so this means what you can do actually to personalize, for example, the link you send them and make the action as simple as possible. For example, and here is another example that you might write to your, let me remove my face so that you can see it. So here is a unique link that's expiring soon that will give you an extended 30-day free trial. Just click this link and in 1 minute you'll be able to test the product and see the results I've been talking about for yourself, right? Or another variation might be, here's the unique link to our hidden resources where you can read more about our experience on the matter. That is in case if you're selling, say, services, if you're, say, in outsourcing business or just in service business, right? So just make it as personalized as possible. And that's basically for them to make the decision, like the complex request, you make it simpler this way. And then the next, so I'm not turning on my video because you won't see the fourth variation, and that is, it's not like the mistake you might be committing, but rather something that will help you improve the results, right? The response rate and the results of your writing. And that is, use the rest of your email to support and enhance your call to action. Because like I've already been mentioning, your CTA is the most important part of your cold email, and the rest of your cold email should support it. Because by the time your reader gets to your CTA, what you want them to do, you want them to be ready to pull the trigger, right? And so first, well, you can use, for example, the copy directly before your CTA to give social proof. And if you can prove your value somehow before asking something from your potential buyer, you'll have a much better chance to receive their response and for them to say yes, right? And try adding some reputable companies you worked with, or it might be some great case study with the technologies your potential client is interested in, or from the industry your client is in. So something that gives more proof to what you're saying, not just we're the best team in the world, or we provide the best product in the world, but here's our client's reviews, or here's the case study, or here's whatever, or here's us featured in some online magazine or whatever. And the next thing you can actually do is to put in this PS option. Unfortunately, I haven't written that on the slides. I just remembered about this myself. What you can do, also something to enhance your call to action, is to put this PS, postscriptum option, after your call to action to address any objection your potential buyers might have. For example, if your prospect has gotten to the end of your email, probably they are already kind of interested. And if they're still unsure, you can address any issues, any questions, any objections that they might potentially have. And here you just should think, what are some of the most common objections you hear from your clients, or some of the most common problems they're facing with, and use this postscriptum at the end of your email to show that you are aware of their issues, you can understand their problems, their pain points, and you can show why they shouldn't be an issue, right? So that is another hack. So again, I'm not only sharing with you typical sales emails mistakes, I'm just sharing something outside of the topic, something you can do instead and not commit these mistakes anymore, right? Okay, let me address something in the chat. Okay, Christopher cracks jokes again, right? Yes, I think I need to get some moderators if you guys will proceed. But actually, yes, having a moderator is a great thing to address the questions in the chat while I'm talking about something in the slides and I don't see it. Okay, so let's move on. So here are the examples. We already addressed them. And let's move on to the next sales mistake. And that is not writing about the benefits that you might be providing. And like features and like service offering, if you have if you offer, say, IT outsourcing services or online services or whatever, they are really important. But even more important are the benefits that you personally or your company or your service offering itself or your team or a product has to offer. And this means that you should list the services that you provide or the features of your product or whatever, but then take the time to say what benefits you can provide outside of those features or services. For example, so let me address some examples from the IT outsourcing, IT service business. For example, having the best developers in the world is good, right? But there are many great developers out there from all sorts of locations. But for example, having a dedicated account manager for this specific client is even better. So if you're writing, say, so in case you start to work with us, you have an account manager who will be attending to your issues 24/7. I don't know. Or say you state that your team works in the same time zone as your potential client, which is another important thing, right? Because many clients, they just want the team to be accessible at all times, or at least at the times when they have daily meetings or project manager or scrum meetings or whatever, right? So having a team that works in the same time zone is certainly a benefit. If you sell a digital product, for example, another example from my old life as a business development manager in a startup, that would be, say, providing 1 extra month for this specific client via a specific link, right? If the client signs up for the trial or for the product or for the whatever. So this can be an extra benefit. And in fact, you can invent a benefit even if it doesn't exist, because anything can be turned into a benefit. Just think of something you think would work for your potential client's advantage, be it a dedicated manager or same time zone or lower rates or maybe insurance. For example, if you are registered outside of the US and you want to work with US clients, you can claim that you have a US type of insurance, for example, cyber liability insurance, something I've been talking about on this channel, and so on. So invent benefits even if you don't have them, right? Let's move on to the sales email mistake number 5, and that is making grammar and spelling mistakes. And I guess I don't have to explain this, but I guess I do, because I'll share some examples in the end of the slides. I'll share some examples where I will show you that, yes, these mistakes still do happen in sales emails, and they're extremely annoying, and they are huge issues in sales emails. And they can make your prospects think that you are a scam, or that your product is just like your copy, full of errors, or that the quality of your service is the same as your writing, not the very best, right? And it is annoying. I mean, it is annoying. I don't know. I'm not a native speaker, so naturally I do make a lot of mistakes in my speaking, right? But when you write, it's unacceptable that you make mistakes. not in business writing for sure. If you're communicating through a messenger with your friends, probably this is okay. And probably you can write just as they show on the slide, I'm looking for a good book, right? But other than that, in sales emails, in business emails, no, you don't want to compromise yourself. Again, I'm not a native speaker, but I am a grammar Nazi. And when I see an error in sales emails, sorry, it's a no from the very start. And if you have issues, because we all have our weak spots, right? And yes, you might be a pro at technology, you might be a super talented software engineer, but you have issues with English, with grammar, with soft skills. So work on this, or try to find a solution that will work for you and will help you with this issue. For example, you can use Grammarly if you cannot boast a perfect grammar. And I've personally started using it a couple of months ago, even though it's like a few years in the market already. And I love it. Check out my video on Chrome extensions on the channel. It's great. And by the way, it's being done by a Ukrainian team of developers that's been started here in Kyiv, I presume. So if you don't have a perfect grammar, use some cheat codes instead, some cheat tools instead. Okay, so let's move on to the next slide. And yeah, let me... So Christopher, you're proceeding to ask for a moderator in the chat, right? Okay. Yeah, Alexander says mistakes in any letters are annoying. Yes, I mean, some people might be okay. Let me know if you're okay with grammar mistakes. I certainly am not. I am a grammar Nazi. I know that. My eye stops to close when I see these mistakes. So yeah. So on Gmail, there's a way to tell if a client actually read your email. Yes, of course. And I heard there was, but I haven't been able to figure out how to do it, like a kickback receipt or something. It's actually have to install an extension. For example, there are several ways how you can do that. It's a topic for another discussion. But for example, if you're using a sales CRM like HubSpot, you can connect it, you can install a HubSpot extension, and it will show you when the client actually opens your email, and it will be reflected in your HubSpot report. And there are also other ways, but yeah, you should basically install an extension, an extra extension. Okay, so let's move on to the next sales mistake, and that is not formatting your content, which is different from grammar mistakes. Because like you can see on these examples, formatting is everything, right? And it's actually crucial, because especially since so many people nowadays only skim the content in order to get the information, you want to use plenty of bullet points, list 1 to 3 tactics, subtitles, paragraphs, whatever. Because if the client sees like a sheet of text, like instead of a sales email, they might not get even to the middle of it, even if they're interested in the topic, because it paints the eyes, right? Formatting is everything, and that's something I teach on our masterclasses on Patreon, like formatting the emails in the correct way so that each paragraph is being like distinguished from other paragraphs by empty lines, and how many empty lines are required. There is actually a whole science behind this, and I've been doing a course in the early days of my sales career on this. So this should come as a must. And I'll share a few examples with good and bad, with like better and worse formatted content in sales emails, just in a few slides. Okay, so let's move on to the next sales mistake, and that is being vague about your offer. We already touched this subject a little when we talked about call to action and you having like unclear call to action. But basically, when you write your offer, you should do it with clarity. Like your readers shouldn't have to go back several times to realize what you're trying to sell them. And in fact, they most likely won't go back, right? So use simple words and make sure that there is no complex jargon or too professional jargon, because, for example, if you want to impress your potential buyers with some tech stack and you want to get into too many details of the technologies you've been using, but say your recipient is, say, a project manager who is not actually a 100% technical person, they might be not even coders, so they might not understand what you're talking about, right? So and they might not understand what you are asking from them, right? Or another example of vague offer is, I received an email where they told me how great some online magazine is, and I was like, why is it for me? And I was just interested, why, what do they have to offer? I was interested. I was so bedazzled, like, what do they have to offer? So I scrolled through and I found that they actually are trying to sell me like being featured in their online magazine. But I had to guess, and I did my best job to understand that. Okay, so let's move on to the next sales mistake, and that is not using personalization. And I mean, I think this should not be covered like too much in 2022, but one of the best ways to persuade your customers to buy from you is to use their name. And I hope you know that, but if you don't, I'm just telling you that this is the case. And if you fail to do so, it will be much harder for you to persuade them. Like when you see in an email, "Hi, sir, or madam," or "Hi," without any addressing a person at all, you're like, delete, 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 right? So you can, it's like a valuable tool that you shouldn't miss, to use a client's name, a potential client's name. And you can use other methods of persuasion too, like signing emails with your own name or using friendly email address, so they can all makes your email look a lot better, and it will be personalized and a lot more persuasive, right, than it would have been without this. And again, in my masterclasses, I share the exact headlines and the exact phrases you can use inside your sales emails that you can, where you personalize you addressing to the potential client, and also intrigue them if we are talking about headlines and subject lines, right? So personalization should be your number 2 priority after the call to action. And this is where we get to the next mistake, and that is a controversial one, and this is getting too personal. And I mean, I guess you understand the difference between having no personalization at all and getting too personal. You should keep a perfect balance between the two. And you should keep your tone personalized, like a friendly, as if you were speaking to the potential client. But like, you should remember that you're writing to the person you don't know, and this is not your favorite Aunt Margie, right? So some professionals may be put off by a too familiar tone. And another, like, for example, like instead of writing like, "Are your data integration problems getting you down?" or "Are you too like stressed out by this?" You can write something more neutral, like, "New breakthroughs can help your company like clear bottlenecks in the data integration process." So again, the key phrase is data integration process, and then you address the problem. And another thing is, in certain languages, there is a respectful form of addressing. Now, for example, in German language and in Russian language, and I know in several languages as well. So if you're writing in that kind of language to your potential client or partner or a person you just want to start a conversation with, a business conversation with, it's extremely unwise to use the more familiar tone. For example, again, in German language, there is these pronouns like Z and Du. Like Z is more like a respectful form, and Du is more like a familiar tone. And in Russian language as well, I receive sales emails where they start talking like in too familiar tone. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against like being on friendly terms with potential partners, whatever. But when this starts from the very start, I'm getting a little bit put off by this, because I might have my old-fashioned ways sometimes. So yes, I just want to start the conversation professional-like and then move on to a more friendly tone, right? And some of your potential clients might have the same mindset. So you don't want basically to risk ruining your relationships in the beginning. Okay, Alexandra says personalization. Right. Most annoying is when you answer the first email being interested and you receive the other standard letter with some scripts, but no personalization at all. Well, that, I presume that is, I mean, the worst salesman behind this email sequence. But yes, no personalization, it is annoying. It is annoying. I can agree here with you. So let's move on to the 10th sales emails mistake. And we're already almost in the end of our today's topic, and that is not including a pain point. And this also relates to personalization, kind of, sort of, because it is a known fact that people really rarely take action until they are supposed to, absolutely supposed to. And since that's the case, your email needs to be drafted in a way that you address their pain points. And a well-drafted email actually has three things. One, provides information about the pain points. Second, explains the solution. And three, provides tips for overcoming it. And again, on my masterclasses, I actually teach about all of those. Not teach, that's a loud word, but I do provide examples of the good and the bad writing. And the pain point is something your potential client might be interested in. So we'll get into more details about this in a minute. But just a couple of words here. For example, you want to sell a team of you have like a team of developers. You have front-end engineers on bench. You have some back-end engineers, and you have some data engineers all of a sudden on bench. God save you from the situation. But and you want to sell your people. What you want to do is firstly to personalize your email outreach, and firstly to research the list of potential clients who might be interested in the specific tech stack that your team members provide. And when you reach out to your potential client, you don't just write, "John, I've got developers on bench, save me. I got no money to pay them salaries." You want to include a pain point that relates to the client. So before you reach out to someone, you research, for example, the vacancies on their website, or maybe the latest posts on LinkedIn, and see that, for example, they are looking to start a project based on React, or they want to develop a mobile app. And what you want to address in your email is actually this tech stack. The tech stack this person is interested in. And you can indicate this in the subject line. You can indicate this in your body, in the body of your emails. And you just write them, "Oh, I saw that," or "I'm aware that you're on the lookout for XYZ developers or XYZ technologies. And wow, such a coincidence. We do provide them," or we've just finished a project related to that, or we had this project, and here's a case study for that, where we used this exact tech stack, and I just happen to have these developers on bench. You don't say that, of course. So this is how you include a pain point in the email. So, and another one, for example, if you know that your potential client is using some cloud technologies and you're selling, say, some cloud solutions, again, you understand their pain point, you include this pain point, for example, like cloud solutions with XYZ benefits. So you include this in the subject line and in the body of your email. So make this all about them, not about your service offering, but about the pain points that also are related to what you provide. Okay, if you made it to the end, I congratulate you, and you're eligible to have a bonus sales email mistake. Don't send emails to just about everyone. And just accept it that a cold email is not just for everyone, because to get the desired response, you need to send the right email at the right time to the right person, right? And to know whether someone is suitable for that email, you need to use laser targeting. And this is something I believe in strongly. You want to be a sniper, not a machine gunner. And what you want to do is to research about your contacts and personalization and ensure that every detail of your email matches your contacts. And this is the ideal recipe for boosting your open rate. And like I've just been telling you, so first thing you want to do is to research your potential clients' pain points, then draft the email around these pain points, then personalize these your message in such a way so that they feel like it's crafted for them. And include the call to action, the clear call to action that will make it easier for them to respond, and like it's easier for them to respond than not to, right? So that's basically the recipe for the ideal sales email template, right? And let me, let me remove my face. And I promised a few examples of good and bad sales emails. There won't be few. I just lied to you. There will be just two. And the first one is something. So before we move to that, Alexander says exactly. Christopher says, if you will excuse me, I have to get ready for a conference call at 10 a.m. Yes, we will excuse you. You just return. Make sure you return and watch the today's live stream, some that you haven't watched, the part you haven't watched. And good luck with the conference call. Bye-bye. Okay, so, and we are moving to the bonus sales email examples. And the first example I wanted to share with you is something I call negative. Okay, so not the best, right? Not the best sales email, and something I wouldn't recommend you doing. So the first thing I wanted to turn your attention to is the subject. The subject of this email is called Business Grow Opportunity Help to Start Small Businesses. We already see the issues here. And the first issue is grammar mistake, right? It should be business growth opportunity. And then it makes no sense. The rest makes no sense, like help to small businesses. Again, I might not be the small business. We all define small and medium businesses differently. And so the subject line breaks two rules already. So it does have grammar mistakes, and it is not personalized, and it's too like broad, generic, and it just makes no sense. So I wouldn't want to open it. I'll just skip it. I mean, delete it, delete. And the next one, the next issue with this email, as you can see, the email sender address is from the Gmail account, Gmail domain, meaning that this is a common, it's not a business actually, so it's not a B2B. So I do understand that this is from an individual, but if the individual provides certain services, they are not an individual anymore. They should present themselves as a business or a service provider, even if that's only them, one person behind this service offering. And I would firstly recommend you buying a domain. It will cost you like $5 per month, but then you will have an email that would look more professional, right? And let's move to the body of the email, where you can see there is no formatting at all. So there is no empty lines after the greeting. So, and the greeting, as you can see, hello there, like hello there, like hello, who are you talking to? So you've sent this email to me. Are you talking to me? Address me. If you're not, just skip the greetings part, right? So there is no empty line after the greeting part and between the greeting part and the main part of their message. And we'll not address even that the message has also grammar and spelling mistakes, like too many spaces or no spaces at all. And the link is like, I have to try to understand what this link is about and why I should click on it. Click here for Viber Geek link. What does it give me? What benefit does it give me? Well, why should I click on it? So it's crafted really badly. And again, we're not talking about grammar here, but more about formatting. And to talk more about formatting, as you can see after regards, we see some awful over formatting in bright colors, huge letters, then small letters, something unfeasible, several colors, and probably some kind of a picture that is not represented in my email. So you see how this doesn't work. And if you want to use some sort of signature, don't format it. Just write, say, John Smith, your contacts, your website, your email or messenger. That's it, without any formatting, without adding any extra wild colors. Okay. And now to the better looking example, where firstly you can see the topic, some IE, admired women leader. So firstly, when I see IE, I'm like, what is this? And also, what is IE? So I already click on the title to understand what this IE is. So they are kind of intriguing me here. And then you can see that the structure of their email is drafted almost perfectly. I kind of like it. And firstly, they are addressing me. They don't say hi, but okay, don't mind. They already are addressing why they are contacting me in the first sentence, like, you're chosen to be featured. So I already understand what they're talking about, what they want from me, right? Then the main part is something they tell about whatever they think is needed, but I would skip this part. And then they have some clear conditions and clear benefits, and which is important, a clear price. So for 1,800, you'll get 2-page profile, an online magazine link, an HTML link back to your website, digital logo, certificate, whatever. So they are already describing what I will get for my money. And then the last line is the call to action. Can I share with you the contract order to start with the profiling process? I don't like this call to action, but in terms of a structure, this is structured well. There is a call to action. It's not really clear. I would make it better, like, again, more personalized and with more like deadlines or whatever to make the decision, to make the prospect like respond to you faster. So it's not perfect, but it's okay. They have this call to action. So this is something I call a good sales email example. And on my Patreon, I share more such examples, and we do dive into details of what would be the best phrases to use, what would be the phrases that you shouldn't use at all costs. And on our Patreon, we do have masterclasses where we all participate into brushing up our skills in basically any area of building our IT service business, and actually an IT business. And say, for example, we had a masterclass on how to build sales processes in your IT outsourcing business. And this was the masterclass, not like this one where I'm sharing with you on YouTube just slides and talking about something important, informative, but not really specific and not really detailed. And versus when on the masterclasses on Patreon, I simply share my screen. As you can see here, I simply share my screen and show how I am organizing documents. I open those documents, I share the details, I show exactly what I write, what I don't write, and how they can write that as well. And for example, we also had this business communication basics masterclass where we've been learning how to write. And this is something I call the basics, something that anyone should either be reminded of or taught, because soft skills are important. I've seen so many genius developers, I don't know, geniuses who were held back by them not being able to communicate well and not being able to sell even themselves, not speaking about their team or whatever, even themselves. So communicating your way through in a reasonable fashion is one of the most important skills, right? And as you can see here, on that masterclass, we had several business emails examples and examples that look good, that don't look good. And we broke it into parts like introduction, central section, conclusion CTA, and close CTA, and how many even empty lines you should put into between your paragraphs. So we cover all of these smaller details that actually make good or bad impression upon your potential buyers. So we dive into all of these details with examples, with sharing screens, all of this stuff. And if you're actually not ready to join our Patreon page, though you're missing out, I've already started a Telegram channel. I just started a Telegram channel. So if you're not yet part of it, go there and do join us. I'll be throwing there all sorts of mastermind sessions updates, like upcoming masterclasses. We will exchange leads there later on when there will be enough people there. Resources that we found and want to share with our fellow IT entrepreneurs, and some friendly advice on how we do this or that, because there are so many details like when starting and running your business that you cannot get enough of all of them, and there is no way one person can cover all of them. And this is why I think it is important to be in the circle of the like-minded entrepreneurs and the circle of like-minded business people. And that's why I actually started this Telegram channel, because I feel like there's not enough, entrepreneurial communities that are more like IT related specifically. So please do come join us. And yes, this is the last slide. I just didn't know what to put on the last slide, so I left it from the previous one, sorry. And yes, so this is basically it. And I strongly believe in having a community of like-minded people around you, and we're all here to learn. And like I said, there's no way one person can know all of this, and there might be some details or aspects that skip our attention. So this is why I created this one. It's absolutely free to join. So if you've been using Telegram, welcome here. The link is also on the main page of my channel, I believe. And I tried to put it in the description if I won't forget. So where's the link to Telegram chat? Like I said, on the main channel. And actually, let me, I'll be so kind just a little bit. Yes, it's about the channel. And yeah, I guess I've just shared it in the group, in the chat. You can click it and join it. And we will be gathering the community of IT entrepreneurs who are willing to share their resources. Because another point, important point, we are not in a competition with each other. We are all partners here, because there is no there are agencies and companies that provide the same or similar service offering or products or whatever. But again, you can use each other to enhance your products or services. And the trend is getting more and more popular when you form partnerships with different agencies or other IT companies, and you turn to each other when you need to share resources, to exchange resources, to exchange leads. And this is a win-win situation when you both bring value to each other. So remember, we are not in competition with each other. We're not chasing this carrot. It's not a carrot chasing game. It's all about partnership, and it's all about, help. When we help one person, that person will help you. When we share resources, this is another great thing to keep in mind, because we will all win from this one. Okay, so let me scroll down our chat. Are there any questions regarding today's live stream, or any questions? Yeah. So Christopher cracking jokes here. Okay. Alexander says no competition at all. Certainly not. I mean, I can see your sarcasm, but it's really about this. For example, like we formed several partnerships with companies that provide different service offering. For example, in my company, we mostly provide data engineering consulting and data engineer, everything around data engineering. Okay, so we have like no mobile developers, and we never had them. We have no designers. We don't have like regular developers, web developers even. So we don't have them. So in case any of our clients will ask us to urgently fill in the position for the project, I would either have to go run on LinkedIn or on other, I don't know, hiring resources somewhere and try to find a person I know nothing about, or go to our partners and ask, hey, do you have anyone on bench with these skills for this length project? And typically they do. And this is why building trustable relationships and partnerships with your peer entrepreneurs, IT entrepreneurs is important, because let's aim for a win-win situation. Competition is good for product companies maybe, but not so much in service companies, because in service, it's all about like personal interactions and human interactions. So yeah, I understand the sarcasm, but I really do believe that we shouldn't regard ourselves as being in competition with each other. Like, no, there is market for everyone. It's not like I'll hide something from you and then I'll become richer or get more clients. No, it's not even negative. It's toxic way of thinking. So no. Okay, so Top Gun, see if you have like no questions, or if you will remember something you wanted to ask during the live stream, please drop them in the comment section and I will address them later on after the video will be processed. It will take some time, maybe an hour. On YouTube, I'm so happy that we had no shutdown of electricity during these hours, because we do have some issues now. Alexander says, well, it works quite well if you represent your services in different spheres, I guess. Yes, this too. And just like I said, we provide data engineering and someone provides mobile development. So why not partner up? And even if you do work within the same sphere, for example, we provide data engineering and our client provides data, and our partners provide data engineering. And for example, I need to hire them as subcontractors. Why they will say no? Yes, there are other like insecurities around the situation when they might work with your client directly, but there are ways to prevent that. But I'll be getting into too many details here, so it's quite a broad topic. So yes, please join in our Telegram channel, Patreon, if you're up to, where we'll cover all the detailed masterclasses. And I'll see you in our next live stream or next episode. Stay safe, and I'll be seeing you soon. Bye-bye.